Hey, all you race fans, how's it going out there this evening? You're at the place to be. We're at Apex this race league, wrapping up our time here at Laguna, Seca. We're doing the LMP2s, GTEs this evening with a quick little lap here in Monterey, California. We're just wrapping up the practice at the moment. Should be an awesome race. We got a good spread of drivers on track at the moment. We just got about 10 minutes left in our practice session before we do that 10-minute qualifying session as always. Thank you for partying with us here this evening. It is the place to be. I am so excited. My name is Eric Elkins. I'm your host here at Backseat Broadcasting. Riding along here with Steven Martinez, currently 6th fastest in this practice session. He is a little off track going up that uphill at turn 6 there. Michael McCoy switching up a little bit here this evening, opting for the Ferrari. Take a quick look at those beautiful race times, see what everybody's putting down this evening. And as you can see, that's Tyler Pierre Richards at the top of the practice timing screens, just dipping into the 112s. Amazingly well done. There's Eric Culliga just behind him with a 1:13.018. Carlos Lopez Jr. having a scorching run out there as well, also in the 1:13 flats. Michael Culliga's doing a 1:13.4 at the moment, and that's your top 4 in the LMP class. Jordan Fisher is rocking out with a 1:18.702 is the time to beat. He's the only GTE driver here able to get into the 1:18s. So it's about 3 or 4 seconds different between the lap times of the two different classes here. And this is a very short track, and we should see a lot of lapped cars on this race, just due to the short track that we're running. It's very tight, very narrow, very difficult to make some moves happen. Shall see what everybody's able to put down, but I imagine that in the first 15 minutes or so we will have a few lapped cars out there. Troy Banks really using that's Darian Roy there, using all of this track. Using all the track. It's good practice though to learn how that car behaves on this sand. So 8 minutes to go in your practice session. Here's Eric Culliga coming around turns 1 and 2 in that LMP2. This should be a decent fast lap here for him. See Kent there is just his best time is just 5 1/1000ths faster than Paul Simmons Ochoa, just below him. Ken Kruger starting a hot lap here. He's got Darian Roy right on his tail. You can see Darian Roy doing a whopping 27 miles an hour faster down that straight than Ken Kruger. So that is just the major advantage that those cars have in terms of speed and the straight line speed, and they should have a lot more cornering capability as well. I'm surprised Darian has not passed Kent yet. And there he goes on the inside, making it look very clean. Craig Ream currently running second in the GTEs for the practice timing anyways. Say running second. He's riding the Porsche this evening, which I don't believe is his normal car. We've seen Craig a couple times. And I thought it was the Ferrari. There's Eric Kulliga finding the track. Michael just a few 100ths behind Corey. Not able to improve his lap time that go round. There's LMP car coming out of pit lane. That's Steven Martinez, followed by Douglas Doucette, who's also coming around behind Michael McCoy here. Only a few LMP2 drivers on track to get a couple more turns in, and as always, let me go through that race info for it. We got 40 minutes on the clock with that 50% fuel and a mandatory pit stop because of it. The track temp is only up to 75 today, much cooler than we have seen the rest of this week here. The track's still 2 miles long. Matthew Cesario, we saw just letting Doug Doucette go there. Although Doug was on an out lap. Just getting a feel for the car. Michael McCoy comes into the pits to practice that pit entrance. Playing too much Assetto Corsa. He's got to figure out the fuel limits necessary for iRacing. He has missed out on a podium a couple weekends in a row. Sorry, a couple Thursdays in a row because he put too much fuel in that car and could not get going. There's Jordan Fisher on track. Top of the GTE times in practice here. We got less than 4 minutes to go before we can start that qualifying session. And that's the Boxer Porsche engine you hear revving just before they get there of Craig Ream. That appears to be John Miller just behind Jordan there, picking up a couple tricks here and there. Following one of these fast drivers can be the best way to improve your lap times. Paying attention to their braking points and their turn-ins and just how they maneuver the car. But for some reason, you don't even necessarily have to pay attention to it. You can burn buckets just from following these guys, just improve your times significantly. John still holding on to the back of Jordan here. Doing well to do that. He's currently running 8th fastest and pours to Jordan's first in the timings. That's a 120 for the both of them. 120 flat. Craig Ream doing a 119.9 just in front of them in the Porsche. But that last lap was John's best. He wasn't able to move himself up the standings at all, but that was a better lap than he has done all of practice. So it'll be very beneficial. Not to mention the slipstream. Definitely messes with your aerodynamics, but getting a little toe around here will definitely help as well. Jordan just being so quick through the corkscrew section there. There is Tyler Pierre Richards, who is quickest overall on this grid. He's the only one able to get that LMP2 down into the 112s. He's running the old McLaren paint scheme, the silver. You know, funny story about this silver paint is it was actually a terrible idea because the weight of the paint was so much heavier than any other car's livery when they ran this, because it just, in order to get that mirror finish, you needed so many coats on there, and it was such a heavy metallic paint that it looked fantastic, but it probably was not very conducive, as you see the two class leaders there really giving each other just enough room. Around this track, less than 30 seconds to go in this practice session. And that's all the racing or practice they're gonna get against other drivers. We're gonna have a lone qualifying session in just a second here. And then these guys are gonna go wheel to wheel with each other in the 40-minute feature race. Oh, and Tyler just holding on to that after getting way too much curb. And I don't think auto cleanup is on this track. I imagine there will be tons of dust and dirt and sand all over it. And that is it for the practice session. We're going to jump right into the qualifying right now and see who can put in some laps. I imagine these guys will get about 6-7 laps if they stay out the entire time. There is Tyler right off the bat, 20 seconds down, exiting the pit lane. Jordan Benches, another in the LMP2, doing quite well in the point standings as well, really challenging the Culligan brothers, as is Tyler Pierre Richards. He just has to show up for every race, and he would be right up there with Eric and Michael towards the top. It is not a long lap to get your tires up to temp, so especially with this cold track, I imagine these guys might be sacrificing that first actual hot lap to continue to heat those tires up. It is a short lap, and they have plenty of qualifying time to do it, as long as that third lap out there is killer and they don't mess it up and burn off all the heat in their tires and have to return to the pits or something. They should have a couple good runs. Matthew Cesario coming down the pit straight to start his first hot lap. We got 2 on the board at the moment. So 8 minutes left for these guys to finish up these hot laps. Carlos Lopez Jr., who was having a great practice session. They found some great speed. We got some times on the board already. Tyler Pierre Richards with a 1:14.6. Bjorn with a 1:14.7. Carlos rounds the final turn. He's going to put a time on the board here in just a moment. Paul Simmons Ochoa has an off track, as does Lincoln Russell and Doug Doucette. Corey Mitchell goes fastest for the GTEs with a 1:19.6. Carlos Lopez slots into third position. just ahead of Darian Roy. Michael McCoy's in second place for the GTEs, with followed by Matthew Cesario, Jeremy Lapidus, and Paul Simmons Ochoa, with a big mistake in his lap there. It still seemed to count. That's Eric Culliga getting on the timing board there with 1:14.6. And Craig Ream also crossing the line, slipping into second at the moment. Oh, excuse me, to Troy Banks, who's not on the track at the moment, is Jordan Fisher, who was fastest coming around the final turn here. Let's see what he's going to be able to do. Paul Simmons Ochoa has an off track, so maybe this second hot lap for him is not going to count. He's got to do better than the 1:37. Jordan Fisher comes across the line, not able to make anything necessarily of it. Benches. Tyler is down in the 113s now. Carlos Lopez has moved himself up. Awesome position there. Lincoln Russell crosses the line to go fourth fastest. Eric Culliga only able to do a 14.644 at the moment. Michael Culliga slots in to third position with a 1:14.183. I can't believe that Tyler is the only one in the 113s thus far lapping out there. We saw quite a number of these guys easily getting into the 113s. There's Bjorn Benches putting in a great time, just as I say that, with a 1:13.945 to go provisional pole. And Tyler only able to do a 1:19.3, so having an issue somewhere on that lap and losing 6 seconds to himself. Bjorn Benches returns to the pit lane with an incident. Carlos Lopez, top of the timing screen with a 1:13.899. Awesome up at the top. That's Eric Culliga is slowest at the moment in the LMP2s with a 1:14.644 as Darren Roy comes across the line. That's Eric Culliga, though, just as I say it, taking away pole position with a 1:13.447. Killer lap. Just smoking the competition by 4 or 5 tenths on that lap. And he puts his brother down into 6th place with that move. Darren Roy currently running 7th at the moment. Doug Doucette has not set a time for us yet. He comes across the line, and that's going to put him 2nd fastest with a 1:13.689. Really shaking things up at the top. That's Tyler Pierre Richards, now down in 5th place, coming across the final turn there. He's going to come across the line and hopefully be able to do a little bit better. Just barely gets up to 4th, and that's Bjorn all of a sudden down to 5th after that killer lap. Jordan Fisher on the board with 1:18.760. That definitely is going to take pole position away from Corey Mitchell, who is not able to do those laps. Jordan Fisher, it appears, has actually returned to the pits after that killer lap. Around the final turn, Eric comes again. It's just they're putting in lap after lap after lap. I knew these guys were going to get a lot of laps in with these shorter laps. He goes faster yet by another 3 tenths, just as Doug Doucette and Carlos Lopez start to catch up to him. So now we got about 5 runners there in the 113s, which is what I was expecting to see. Michael Culliga currently running down in 7th place. He crosses the line, but moves himself up to 2nd to meet his brother on the top row. Just to say that Doug Doucette betters their times just barely by about 100th of a second. Gets himself onto the front row. Here is Tyler Pierre Richards practicing that pit stop here. John Miller coming around, trying to finish this lap on a high. Currently running in 4th, and all of the LMP2s are in the garage at the moment, so that's probably as it's going to stay. It is how it's going to stay. John gives up on that lap at just the last moment there. He's going to stay in 4th. But just killer laps being put in right at right at the death there. That's going to bump Steven Martinez down to 7th, then Darian Roy down to 8th. Ken Kruger still out on track, yet to set a time, which is fairly surprising. He's been doing well for the GTEs. Here's Jeremy Lapinus, only good enough for 8th at the moment, running in the 120s. He crosses the line. Oh, it does give him a place. Bumps him up one position. He goes about a 10th faster there, just barely faster than his previous time. Jordan Fisher has returned to the racetrack. I don't believe he's going to have enough time. This is an out lap, I believe. Oh, and maybe he put some fuel in the car just to get the feel of it before he gasses up and sends it back out there. He's been doing the low fuel runs, and that can really catch some of the drivers out if you have low fuel settings for the qualifying run, and then you're just not used to the balance of your race car when you go over to those race settings. That race setup can throw you out a little bit, so this is good practice to have if he has filled up on fuel. Into the final 30 seconds. Jeremy Lapinus, he may actually get to finish this lap. He's got 15 seconds to cross the line. I think he's just going to make it. See if he's able to do any better than 7th. He's not. He's going to stay in 7th position. And that is it for our 10 minutes of qualifying. It was awesome to watch. Just a killer group of guys here. Just setting it down, especially in the LMP2 class. We have Doug Doucette on your pole position, followed by Eric Kulliga. Michael follows him in 3rd position, and he lines up next to Carlos Lopez Jr. on row 2. Tyler Pierre Richards down in 5th place. Bjorn Benches is in 6th place. Steven Martinez in 7th, followed by Darian Roy. Troy Banks, who actually did not run out there for qualifying. Hopefully he grids up with us, and neither did Ryan Matthews. Jordan Fisher was very, very, very fast in qualifying, followed by Corey Mitchell on that front row. Then just behind them, I believe it is Michael McCoy and John Miller. What a killer row 2, followed by Craig Ream, Lincoln Russell, Jeremy Lapidus, and Matthew Cesario. Paul Simmons Ochoa is going to line up next to Kent Kruger. And hopefully we have Valerie Arsencio, Darrell Washington, David Arnett, Federico Del Toro, and that will be it for the guys who did not qualify with us. Hopefully we get some more runners out there. And here is Doug Doucette on that pole position. Well done. Ready to go racing here. We got one quick out lap. Shouldn't take very long at all. We're gonna get going. Hopefully these GTEs leave a little bit of a gap between these classes. Looks like Jordan Fisher is not quite ready to go racing back there. Still sitting on grid as Corey Mitchell thinks he's an LMP2 car. And we're off. We're gonna get some heat into these tires as Corey awaits the rest of his class. Dallara powered by a Cosworth. Now that is a straight up race car. There is the back of the pack. It looks like there is someone. Is that Darrell Washington, who decided to come out of the pits and join us? He is not a lap down. Don't pay attention to the timing tower. It will correct itself when we get going. Coming down through the corkscrew here. You can just see and hear all the stuff on this racetrack already. As they round around the penultimate corner, we are just about ready to go racing. That's a pack of 9 LMP2s. And we are off this evening as Doug gets a killer jump on the rest of the pack. Eric Kulliga stays as it was. Steven Martinez makes one up on Bjorn right from the get-go. And the LMP2s easily make it down to the rest of the pack. Here, Michael McCoy dropping down a bit from John Miller and the silver Corvette. Really taking a liberal amount of track. He's got to watch out for Craig Ream on the inside too. Michael has got to take it a little bit tighter than that. Almost comes together with Craig Ream on the inside there. Paul Simmons Ochoa makes up a couple. That's Bjorn Benches in the dirt after just a few turns, not quite able to hold on to that car. And Doug Doucette has fallen down a few positions already. Oh, heavens. And there is Doug Doucette taking out Michael Kulliga, and they are at the top of the corkscrew at the moment. Here comes the GTE field up the hill. They've got to get out of the way ASAP. At the top of the standings, that's Eric Kulliga. Way out in front. He's got a 3-second lead already above Carlos Lopez Jr., who sits in second. Tyler Pierre Richards just behind him, already up to the final podium position. Steven Martinez has just stayed out of all the riffraff. He's currently up to 4th, making up 3 positions. That's Doug Doucette. That's Michael Kulliga at the... Oh! Heavens, what is happening to him? He is not having a great start to this race. Let's see what is going on for him, and he just turns it on that final turn. It is a bit tricky out there. That's Jordan Fisher, top of the standings for the GTEs. He's already managed to get by 2 of these LMP2s ahead of them. John Miller has made his way into 3rd. Michael McCoy is hanging on to 4th. Greg Ream having a great race as well. He's on board with Ken Kruger as they go up to the hill to approach the corkscrew. He's got these 2 Beamers ahead of him. Oh, almost dips a wheel onto the dirt. Not feeling incredibly confident around that turn. Takes it to the inside, and he's going to get passed there by Bjorn Benches, who makes his way back up through the field. Oh! No, never mind. Eric Kulliga. Timing screen lying to me. Thought he had an off track. He took a dive. That is the battle for 2nd place now. Oh, Michael McCoy all the way to the back here. Let's see what had happened to him. You see running just behind those guys there, has to lock up and go on the brakes, and then he just has no traction out in this wide. It's going to put him back in 10th in class. Battle for 2nd still going on. John Miller not quite able to close up at the moment. Bjorn getting a couple more places done as they approach this tricky corkscrew section. And here is that limited view of the LMP2s, just completely boxed in there. He's going to take to the outside of Craig Ream here. He's not. He's going to try a little cutback and get him on the straight. That's Carlos Lopez Jr. up there in second position. Tyler Pierre Richards still not able to get by him, still sitting just behind him. And we are getting some, it's not lapping happening already, but these guys who had earlier incidents now getting held up in this traffic just a little bit. And that's Tyler Pierre Richards getting that move done at the end of this lap. Carlos Lopez sitting just behind him there. These guys are going wheel to wheel down into the corkscrew. And you can just hear the dirt all over the track. Every apex is followed by a big streak of sand all over the track, making it very precarious for these drivers. They don't know how much purchase there's going to be on the wheels as they get going out of the apex. Here's Michael Kulliga trying to get back by on Bjorn, taking to the pit lane, picks up a cone for good measure. He's going to go down the inside of Bjorn and Corey there. And John Miller got that move done on Corey, and now he's got a nice little LMP2 gap. Michael Kulliga retaining that pylon for the moment. I don't know if that's going to help his drag coefficient down the straight, and he is unable to get rid of the thing, and he's cupping it like a hockey puck. Oh, it has disappeared eventually. Jordan Bench is trying to get that move done on John Miller up these straights, get back at Michael. Eric still holding on to that 2.7 second gap above Tyler Pierre Richards, who's now got nearly a second on Carlos Lopez after getting that move done. Steven Martinez occupies fourth. Darian Roy's back there. Oh, never mind, my timing screen was going nuts. Darian Roy in fifth. Troy Banks is in sixth. Just behind him, he has come to the track, although he was not qualifying with us. Doug Doucette, unfortunate start to the race, and honestly just bad braking to the top of the hill and taking out some other cars. I know it's frustrating when you are deservedly the pole sitter and then you lose that up, but could have had definitely some better racing for everybody else throughout the rest of the 40 minutes. If you just eat that, and that's Eric Kulliga currently lying in second place. Sorry, my timing screen is all over the place right now. Somehow Tyler Pierre Richards got by him. Oh, there's an Eric Kulliga crash. Let's go watch that one. Coming up towards the corkscrew. The limited view up here. Oh, it's very difficult as, oh, there's a turned car in front of him. That's going to lose him mixed class racing right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to put him back into second place. A second behind Tyler Pierre Richards. He's got Carlos Lopez just about half second behind him. It says Doug Doucette. What is happening? Oh, I'm in a replay. Sorry. I was very confused as to why that is Douglas Doucette. And that is Troy Banks, 0.7 behind him. Okay, that makes sense. Back here, there's a nice little Ferrari battle as Michael McCoy makes up a few positions. He's currently up to 8th, tracking down Paul Simmons-Ochoa ahead of him. Darrell Washington had spun, I believe that was David Arnett, who was the spun out Corvette laying on the corkscrew. Just watch as these guys come over the crest here, and over the left hand you can't see down the track. You just aim for one of those trees straight ahead, especially if you're in the LMP2 and can't see crap out of that windshield. You're going to aim for those trees, and then when you feel the car settle back down, you whip it over to the right. Short shift into third and get out of there ASAP. Michael McCoy is all over the rear bumper of Paul Simmons-Ochoa. Not getting an awesome apex there, but he might be able to make it down this straight on the inside. If he is feeling ballsy this evening, he's got to make some places up after that earlier issue. And that could have been his moment there on the skinny racetrack here at Laguna Seca. That pit straight is one of the only places to get ahead. Here's Jeremy Lapinus tracking down Craig Ream, who has qualified and stayed there the whole time. Steve Martinez has an off track ahead, currently running 4th. There's Darian Roy getting by him, and that's into turn 1s and 2s. That's Eric Elkins on the 1s and 2s there. Michael McCoy not able to get by Paul. That's going to bring Kent Kruger here into play. Warren Benches with an off track down at turns 1 and 2 as well. He gets it back going on track. Just to leave one of those oil slicks on track for whoever else comes around turns 1 and 2. It's like back in those old speed racer long distance races. Remember in the cartoons they would leave nails and tacks and oil slicks out on the track. Speed racer clip up on, and that's Corey Mitchell off track. Oh, he's down to 4th. Oh, big off by Corey Mitchell there. Let's watch it. And he just misses his apex. It goes extremely wide. I think he keeps it out of the fence, most importantly. But it's going to drop him down to 4th. That's Troy Banks. Oh, never mind. As these guys are starting to lap some of these cars. Oh, that's Valerie there. Awesome. On track, we got Valerie in the Porsche this evening. Jordan Fisher got himself a handy 4-second lead over John Miller, who snuck his way up to 2nd position. Lincoln Russell will happily take that 3rd position forward. Corey Mitchell is down in 4th. Craig Ream still in 5th. Jeremy Lapinus doing well up in 6th. Paul Simmons-Ochoa even better for his start, making his way up to 7th. Tyler Pierre Richards is top car on track. Oh, and there is Michael McCoy making that move down the inside on that Beamer and getting it done. That is your braking zone, Michael. Making it well done. That's David Arnett. It's the Corvette that is even lapped for this class, getting in all sorts in the way there. As that's Bjorn Benches. Sorry, that's Tyler Pierre Richards also trying to lap this pack. We have drivers on 3 different laps in this foursome right here, and that's David Arnett not really letting anybody up. He really wants to screw over the leaders of the LMP2s in this race. There's Paul Simmons-Ochoa having to go door to door with him too, up the hill, and that's really going to get in Eric's way, who is just trying to stay clean. He says, David, please don't get me again. Paul locks up and goes off straight into the wall. David Arnett, though, let some of these guys get by. At least Kent Kruger, he cuts back over to the racing line in front of Carlos Lopez. Oh, as he gets the final turn. All wrong there. Michael McCoy currently up to 7th. He's about to make one more up on Jeremy Lapidus in the Corvette ahead of him. He's got Eric Kulliga about to lap him behind. Really poor timing for him. He wants to stay up there with Jeremy. We're already 15 minutes done with this race. Oh, and Jeremy Lapidus having some issues. Lincoln Russell having some issues as well, dropping down the time. He's in 8th at the moment. Paul Simmons-Ochoa not quite in danger of, oh, and that's Troy Banks able to hold it well, going over that super fast left-hander to climb the hill. You think that the camber of the hill is going to catch your tires, you'll get some grip. Doesn't happen every time. Can be strange, just how your car bounces into that divot on the apex and how hard it kicks you back out to the side. And don't forget, if you're pissed off about these lap cars, just get a paper bag and go scream all your complaints into it. And the stewards will review them after that. Eric Kulliga now under some pressure from Carlos Lopez Jr. after all of said lapped cars. As Eric trying to get by Corey. And that's going to let Carlos right in the door, too. He's happy about how that transpired around the final turn. He goes down the inside on Eric. He gets it done, too. He takes to that racing line, and Eric is not going to be able to fight him into turn 3. Is he? Is he? No, Carlos maintains his speed and just keeps it on the racetrack there. Great racing between these two coming down the pit straight. He was loving that little move from Corey Mitchell, who just slowed him up enough. I thought Eric was going to blast off the line, but Carlos was able to follow him through. Tyler Pierre Richards still 8 seconds up the road. That metallic paint not slowing him down one bit. Doug Doucette doing some lapping, getting back over the racing line just barely in time, heading uphill. Yeah. It sounds like a gravel driveway coming down that corkscrew at the moment. Responsible for about half the off tracks. Sorry folks, I got some weird earache in my left ear. It's not very comfortable to wear my headset at the moment. Sorry if there's a little bit extra static noise this evening. We got 22 minutes to race on the clock, so we should see these guys coming in about 7 to about 15 minutes away. Here is your race leader coming out of the pits, getting that stop done early. Excuse me about missing that there. I am going to pull up our pit times in a moment if it will come up. Oh, we have a few people in the pits already. Michael Kulliga has done his stop. He's coming out of the pits in the background there. You can just barely see him. Oh, sorry. No, that was that? I could have sworn I just saw a blue car coming out of the pits, but losing it. That's Tyler Pierre Richards. He's done an 11.5. Michael Kulliga, who was in there for 13.1. And as expected, these guys coming in a little bit earlier than the GTE class, having to come in, or probably not having to come in, but electing to come in a little bit earlier. We'll see where that might put some of them out. Tyler Pierre Richards here, put him back in 7th position. It's going to leave him with a lot of the lapping work that he did to do. Here's Paul Simmons Ochoa, about a second down the road now. So I thought he might have been in just some traffic or something like that. Decided to get everybody out of his hair and go into the pit lanes, but that was his first pass since out of the pits, and it has not been super easy for him. That's Eric Kulliga, following just behind Carlos Lopez Jr. It's about a second now. Let's see. Here's Michael going up the hill. Tyler is already going through the corkscrew up ahead. Here is your current race leader, Carlos Lopez Jr., still doing great. He's actually got 2.5 ahead of Eric Kulliga at the moment. That's going to be a nice little buffer for him. 5 seconds back is Darian Roy, currently in 3rd. Steven Martinez occupies 4th place. He's 1.6 behind. Darian ahead behind him. Douglas Doucette's only a second behind. He's got to be careful about that. 13 seconds back is Troy Banks. After a couple issues on startup, he didn't get a lot of practice time out there. Your net leader, Tyler Pierre Richards, doing well, always cutting down some time, getting through the lap traffic. There's David Arnett, who's getting by. Oh, that's Kent Kruger, who goes off track back there. Kent, unfortunately, was in 8th at the moment. I don't know if he lost any positions. Oh, and that's Steven Martinez getting past Darian Roy for that final podium position, using lap traffic, I believe, there. And then that's Doug Doucette bringing up the rear in the Monica Canolta car. Oh, and that's Darian Roy, and Douglas says, "Don't mind if I do." That sounds like a great idea. I'll have what he's having. And spins it on the corkscrew. So far, Kent Kruger's come in. David Arnett has come in, but looks like just for a quick repair. Well, Doug, that's one way to make that move happen. He is by Darian Roy now, but he's a cool 6.4 behind Steven Martinez in that 3rd position. Jordan Fisher is sitting real pretty, still with a 5.6 over John Miller. Corey Mitchell has found his way back to the final podium position in 3rd, 1.7 ahead of Craig Ream. Michael McCoy is another 2 seconds behind them, and 5 back in 6th place. Jeremy Lapinus is running. Lincoln Russell, after that spin going up the hill, is currently in 7th. It's Paul Simmons Ochoa, Matthew Cesario, and after his pit stop, there's Kent Kruger. Good goodness, sorry about that noise. He's weaving and making his way around this track. We got 16 minutes on the clock. Let's take a quick look at that race info. Track temp up to 86 at the moment. Not super blazing out there this evening. Oops. All right, we got the good stuff back on track. Ooh. That has put Darian Roy back into the clutches of Troy Banks, currently running 6th. He's 1.1 behind him, but he's getting by Jordan Fisher at the moment. This is the last car to lap for these LMP2s. Kent Krieger, after that pit stop, currently running in 10th in class, trying to make one up here on Matthew Cesario, who was one of those Beamers that was stuck in front of him for so long. Doug Doucette has had an incident coming into the corkscrew. He thought, that's how Darian did it. And well done. Does a full 360, comes back onto the racetrack. He's running in 4th at the moment. We got some guys in the pits. Eric Killiga has come in for his pit stop. So has Steven Martinez. So has Steven Martinez. Jeez. And Eric's out with a 12.8 second stop. Steven Martinez is going to stay in there for a 12 flat. And that's Tyler Pierre Richards exiting or driving past the pit exit at the moment. Just ahead of him is Jordan Fisher. They're your 2 class leaders at the moment. Tyler Pierre Richards is in 1st place, but it hasn't realized it yet as he gets by the rest of the pack. Oh, he is a race leader as Carlos Lopez was in the lead, and he's entering pit lane at the moment. Doug Doucette still has to come in. Darian Roy and Troy Banks ahead of him. Doug Doucette opts to enter as well. This lap we have 12 on the board. Carlos is in his pit stop. It's Darrell Washington with a solid 40 seconds. Caught speeding in there. Doug Doucette has not found his pit box yet. There he is. He's in his pits. Carlos Lopez Jr. might have gotten caught speeding in there. He's already up to 20 seconds out there. Darian Roy also comes in. Oh, goodness. In 28 seconds, 29 seconds. So unfortunate for him. That bumps Tyler Pierre Richards up. He is technically running 2nd, although I hasn't realized that Carlos Lopez has been passed there. Troy Banks is the last LMP driver to come in. Jordan Bench is coming in for his pit stop. Carlos is about to hit a minute in that stall. Darian Roy does 13.6 seconds in there. Carlos Lopez with a cool 51.7. That is really frustrating after putting in some awesome work this race and not able to capitalize on your speed out in front. Greg Ream only stops for a 7.8 out there. Oh, sorry, not 7.8. For a moment it was 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Lincoln Russell is a 9.1. He's one of the few to come in. Looks like Craig Ream has given up on that 5th place he was riding in. Jeremy Lapinus stays in super long with a 15.7 second pit stop. Troy Banks still running first and keeping that LMP2 out there. I wonder if he's going to be able to do 2 more laps. This has got to be his final lap before he brings that car in for some fuel. That puts Tyler Pierre Richards into 2nd place, only a few seconds behind. Michael Kulliga just 0.7 behind Darian Roy here coming down the pit straight. Didn't get a great exit from that though. Diving right down to the inside with a very early apex. It's a little bit deeper into the turn than he would have liked. He knows he's got to catch Darian now. We have 10 minutes to go in this race, 9.5 on the board. Michael starting to get a little bit closer now. Cut that 0.9 down to 0.4. Oh no, and Doug Doucette and John Miller have had an accident. That's John Miller riding behind Doug Doucette. He is not enjoying this corkscrew at all. And he comes down the, and John Miller just does not slow down enough to avoid that accident. And there's a couple cars getting by John Miller. He's got Corey Mitchell right on his heels now. That's a lapped car of Paul Simmons at Showa is the Beamer ahead of him. That's going to put Doug Doucette in all sorts of trouble here. That's Darian Roy getting past. That might even be Michael Culligan getting past. Maybe he has some damage after that tap from behind, but that made it look very easy as Michael makes one up and is still staying with him. There is Troy Banks putting in lap after lap, refusing to run out of fuel on this run. Already made it 32 minutes into this race without stopping. This has got to be his moment. It is his moment. He comes into the pit stop now. Jordan Fisher waiting for these guys ahead of him to come in for their pit stops. Let's check out the pit time out there. They need to beat a 9.7 to be anywhere near close to him, but I don't think that's going to happen for your current race leader or class leader of John Miller, followed by Corey Mitchell. Oh heavens, and there's some good action happening back up there. If I can find whoever just got hit, for the love of God. Who was that? And coming up, that's Michael Culligan, Darian Roy, and Doug Doucette behind them. Oh, and Paul Simmons Ochoa. Was that? No. If that was Doug's final, if he just got DQ'd for that, that's some BS. Give Doug some points this evening. Seriously. I mean, he hasn't had a great time in the corkscrew, but he's definitely gotten whacked a couple times in 2 laps to, I mean, 8x right there. Plus turn it around twice, you know, I mean, that's more than half of his 17. There's Tyler Pierre Richards with a cool 10 seconds in the lead. Just lapping guys for fun. Eric Culligan at the top of the pit straight. Oh, Steven Martinez having a little issue on the penultimate turn of his lap. Currently running in 3rd, and he's still got about 5 seconds above Troy Banks here. Troy doing an awesome job just to keep putting in these laps. He's currently up to 4th from not having qualified at all. Then we have Michael Culligan, Darian Roy, Carlos Lopez Jr. behind. Bjorn benches. And yeah, Doug Doucette is no longer running with us. It's a little disappointing. We got Jordan Fisher though back out in front for his class. Oh, and something happened to John Miller. John Miller's not on track either. Could we get back to? Thank you. Let's see what had happened here coming out of the pits. He and I don't know if he just wanted to ruin Corey's race or he just was not paying attention. Let's watch that one again. That was pretty good. Oh, come on. Let me see it one more time. Could you please? Thank you. And I don't know if he just forgot to brake there or something like that, but not paying attention, adjusting something on his wheel as he was exiting the pit lanes, maybe. And all of a sudden he saw the brake lights and Corey ahead of him, locked him up, and went into the sand. And there's no stopping him then. That might have been the end of his DQ count for this evening. Oh, we are still in replay mode. I'm sorry about that, folks. Let's go live. We're under 5 minutes to go on the board. Oh, and that's Michael McCoy just behind Corey. They're only 1.5 behind. He's got himself back up to that position. Getting lapped by, I believe that's Bjorn Benches. No, that's Tyler Pierre Richards. Just taking it easy. Making sure to keep it on track for these last 4 minutes we have. And this is definitely going to shake up the point standing for the LMP2 class, giving another win to Tyler Pierre Richards. Eric Kulliga will finish in second place, it looks like, but not the win that he was looking for, and definitely not the position in fifth that Michael Kulliga was looking for this evening. Jordan Bench is also fighting up there with these guys. 300 plus points in the standings. He's only going to be good enough for 8th this race. Troy Banks moving up 5 positions. Kent Kruger currently running 5th in class, moving up 7 positions. But granted, one of the ones that Kent Kruger got above was Doug Doucette. And John Miller as well, who both DQ'd out, so he's on about 5-6 made up himself. All right, we missed a lot of the pit stops this evening. It's been a wild, chaotic race. There you can see where you stack up next to everybody else. Craig Ream was also one of those early. Oh, and Kent Kruger, just as I was saying, how well he was doing, has an off track and he's going to lose one right there to Lincoln Russell as he gets by him. And the battle for second place is starting to heat up with 2 minutes to go in this race. This is Michael McCoy following Corey Mitchell. We'll see whose setup is working better for them towards the end of this race. Oh, and Michael just getting a little light on the crest of that turn. It's so easy to whip it around to the left with that snap oversteer. So your tires lose all grip. We're on lap 31 starting here. And oh, Eric Kulliga comes just on the inside of the final turn. Michael not getting the slipstream he needed out of that. He's following 0.9 behind Corey because of that overtaking move by Eric. see where the race leader of Tyler Pierre Richards is. We got a minute on the clock. That's all we have left to race. Just not getting close enough to him, though. 40 seconds left on the clock. It looks like we will get one more lap to race, though. Here's Carlos Lopez coming up. Oh, he's got one of those cones, too. That's going to be the only trophy he takes home this evening, as this is a battle for sixth. But Craig Ream is back on the track after, I don't know, having supper or something. Tyler Pierre Richards, he's coming across turn 2 there. We got 10 seconds on the board, so we're going to keep rolling this around until Tyler completes this lap. 0.5 separates second from third. Carlos still laying down some decent times out there. There's nothing to scoff at with a 1:15.3 towards the end of the race. You can see Darian ahead of him doing a 1:15.5, not too shabby either. Currently, in your final podium position, Steven Martinez is there. There's Tyler Pierre Richards rounding the final turn. He's going to take this win big time. Well deserved after a not the best qualifying session from him. Rough race for Douglas Doucette, your pole sitter, who ended up DQing out of this race. It was not the race he wanted when we began and lined up on the grid. Steven Martinez rounds the final turn. He's going to come home in third. Jordan Fisher is your race winner for the GTE class, followed by Corey Mitchell and Michael McCoy. And that Ferrari makes it to this group. Hopefully, oh goodness. Glad everybody's not bashing into each other. We got to look good for the podium picture here. Troy Banks there comes around in fourth position for the LMP2s. Michael Culligan finishes fifth only. Darian Roy down in sixth. Carlos Lopez Jr. is able to pull it around for only seventh. Bjorn Benches finishes in eighth. So that's not what we were looking for. We're looking for those race results, baby. Douglas Doucette, really unfortunate race from him, and just a real bummer. He was kicked out, essentially. Tyler Pierre Richards is able to get back up to the top of the timing board. He wins this race, followed by Eric Culligan. Steve Martinez wraps out the top podium positions. Then Troy Banks, Michael Culligan, Darren Roy, Carlos Lopez Jr., and Bjorn Benches. Jordan Fisher able to finish first. He qualified first for the GTEs, followed by Corey Mitchell and Michael Culligan round out the podium positions. Lincoln Russell and Kent Kruger, Jeremy Lapinus, Paul Simmons-Ochoa, Matthew Cesario, Craig Ream follow behind them, and they're the only ones who were able to round us out. We also had John Miller, Douglas Doucette, Darrell Washington, and David Arnett leave a little bit early for us. Thank you all so much for joining us here for the IMSA series. It is my favorite of the week. We have great racing throughout the night. Really happy with tonight's race. Make sure you join us next week. We're on Sundays. We're doing the Miatas again. As always, make sure you hit that thumbs down button. Don't even think about subscribing. Hit the little bell button an even number of times. So that way, we can join each other and be cool party people on Sunday. Take it easy, everybody. See you next time.